Today we're reading The Mitten Tree by Candace Christensen and illustrated by Elaine Greenstein. Look at this image with no words, readers. Who do you think that's a picture of? What does it look like to you? I bet some of you were saying a mom, maybe with 2 kids, or maybe a grandmother with 2 kids. At the end of a long lane in a tidy little house, old Sarah lived alone. Her children had grown up and moved away, but Sarah still remembered the mornings when she walked with them to the blue spruce tree where they waited for the school bus. Now each morning she opened her shutters and watched for new children to arrive. Every chilly morning, Sarah pulled on her warm coat and started down the lane. As she walked past the children on her way to the mailbox, she wished they would smile or wave, but they never did. The children didn't even seem to notice her. Still, when she saw them, she couldn't help but smile. Now think to yourself, readers, how do you think Sarah is feeling and why? Then think to yourself too. Do you notice the people around you when you're out and about? Why do you think that she smiled even though they didn't speak to her? You're right. She was probably remembering her own children and happy times that she's had with kids. One winter morning after the first snow had fallen, all the children were making snowmen and throwing snowballs, all except for one little boy in a blue cap and coat. Even his boots were a dark shade of blue. He stood away from the others with his hands sunk deep in his pockets. When the school bus arrived, he lingered behind and was last in line. As Sarah watched the little boy climb into the bus, she could see one thing. He had no mittens. All that day, Sarah couldn't stop worrying about the little boy with no mittens. Late in the afternoon, as the sky grew dark, Sarah dug through the basket of yarn scraps she had saved for many years. She found her needles and 4 shades of blue wool. Then Sarah began to knit. Now, what do you think she's knitting and why? What does this tell us about Sarah's character? Remember, character meaning how does she act? What kind of a person is she? Did you say that she's caring? She's helpful? I think she's even a problem solver. She sees a problem and she's coming up with a way to solve it. Sarah worked late into the night. When the sun began to rise, she hurried to the bus stop and hung the mittens on the old blue spruce tree. From behind the hedge, Sarah watched. The little boy was the first to arrive. He saw the mittens. He reached up and tried them on. They fit! With a big smile, he made a perfect snowball and threw it high into the winter sky. Soon, a little girl in a red coat arrived. Her mittens didn't match. That night, Sarah knitted with red yarn. Every day, now as Sarah went to the mailbox, she watched for children without mittens. Then she would hurry home and knit. Early in the morning, she would hang the new mittens on the tree. The children loved the game. Each day they would search under every branch and bow for another pair of mittens. Once or twice, Sarah thought that the boy with the blue mittens had seen her, but he always looked away. Now, are you seeing where the author got the idea for the title of this book, The Mitten Tree? Night after night, Sarah knitted mittens in every color. Some had stripes, some had hearts, some even had little snowflakes all over them. Somehow, Even though Sarah had never spoken to the children, she felt that they had become her new family. Now, readers, can't you just imagine this sweet lady working so long and hard knitting that she fell asleep in her little chair? It makes me a little sad because I think she's kind of lonely. She's kind of pretending these kids are her family. On the last day before winter vacation, Sarah awakened before dawn. She took the empty basket that had once held her yarn and filled it to the brim with mittens. Out the door and down the steps she headed. When she got to the blue spruce tree, she hung mittens on every branch. Look at all those creative designs she made. The boy with the blue mittens was the first to arrive. He stood very still and waited for the others. In fact, all the children stood very still for a few minutes, looking at the mysterious, beautiful mitten tree. When they boarded the bus, each child now wore a pair of mittens. Sarah watched as one by one their faces appeared in the bus windows. Still, no one looked her way as she started home. But Sarah's heart was full. It was as full as when the sounds of her own children had filled her house. Readers, I'm going to read that part again because I bet your heart is feeling a little bit sad for her right now. But look how the author said those important words and put just those few words on that one page. She wrote, but Sarah's heart was full. It was as full as when the sounds of her own children had filled her house. Now, when your heart feels full, it means that your heart is so happy that you're either doing something that you love or someone has made you feel so good inside. And when we think about sweet Sarah, she's feeling so happy because she made those children happy. And what a beautiful gift she gave them by sharing her talents and her creativity to make something special for them. That, you know, when someone leaves a special gift like that, even the very first boy, he probably felt so, excited inside his heart that someone noticed him and solved his problem for him. And so she's, thinking back to how happy she feels back when she was a mom and her kids were all home with her. I think they've all grown up now and they've gone away. And these new children in her neighborhood have given her that chance to feel that happiness again. As Sarah neared her porch and climbed the steps, she saw something waiting for her. There in the corner was a basket woven with thick brown vines and decorated with a large white bow. In it were balls and balls of beautiful, colorful yarn. Look at how that illustrator captured her expression. I love it. To this day, Sarah knits mittens for all the children in her town. Every time her basket is empty, a new full one appears. Sarah doesn't know who the yarn is from. The children still don't know who the mittens are from. But someone must. Readers and writers, look how that author used the ellipsis there to say, but someone must. And they do that so we can kind of trail off and think in our own minds, where is that yarn coming from? If you have a partner, stop and think and talk in turn with your partner. Where do you think it's coming from? What do you think of this ending? I sort of like it being a mystery, but I sort of wish they had gotten to know her and maybe looked after her and brought her even more cheer. Turn and talk with your partner or someone at home if you can. What do you think we can learn from this book? Did you think about that we could use our talents to help other people like she did knitting? Did you maybe think about how we sometimes need to look around and notice people and look for ways that we can help? Did you think about maybe that older people that live alone like that, they might be feeling kind of lonely, and just a little card or waving hello in your street and neighborhood could help them feel so much better. I hope you enjoyed this special book as much as we did. Off you go, readers.